So some of you guys may have heard, some of you guys may have not heard that Spark is giving earnings adjustments. Now, if you haven't driven for Spark in a long time, you're gonna want to hear this, or maybe you've been deactivated like myself. I got deactivated earlier this year, unfortunately. I will leave that video at the end of this video for why I got deactivated. But when I got this email, I'm like, wait a minute, I haven't driven for them in a while. Of course, when I opened it up, it explained everything, which I will be sharing with you guys, as well as how much I'm getting back and how much my husband's getting back. And he hasn't driven for the Spark Driver app in a very long time. He also got deactivated for the same reason I got deactivated, but I will be sharing both of our earnings, or what we're getting back from the Spark Driver app. But this got me to thinking, why are drivers getting earnings adjustments now? And I'm thinking about the times where I've been tip baited, which it didn't happen a whole lot, but it did happen here and there. And you think about those times where you took an order up 3 flights of stairs, soda cases, water cases, and then come to find out your tip was removed. Is this the earnings adjustment that I'm getting? The customer actually didn't tip bait me. Something happened. I'm not exactly sure what happened. I couldn't really find anything online explaining into detail exactly what happened. But I did find something that had happened last year, which I will share, which is very similar to this situation, but there's nothing really going into detail on exactly what happened. But let me share the email that I received with you guys, as well as the amount of money that I'm getting back. So the email starts off by saying, earnings adjustments, please read it carefully. It starts off by saying, hello, based on a review of our records, additional disbursements related to tips from earlier periods, including interest, will be dispersed to you through your primary earnings method, which I do not have a primary earnings method anymore because I've been deactivated. But it goes on to say disbursements will be made via a paper check by mail if no earnings method is linked to your account, which sounds like I'm going to be receiving a check in the mail. The disbursements will appear as adjustment credit, tip adjustment in the Spark Driver app, which I was actually able to go into my earnings even though I'm deactivated and see exactly what I was getting, which was nice. It goes on to say, please carefully review the information below as some action may be required by you. Linking a primary earnings method. Our records show that a valid primary earnings method is not linked in your account, which is correct. It goes on to say, if no earnings method is linked for more than 30 days, you will receive a paper check to the mailing address we have on file. Please note, paper checks can take longer to process, and then it gives my mailing address, which is correct, but if it isn't, I'm able to update it, which is nice. It says, tipping adjustment, adjustments related to tips from earlier periods may relate to different reasons, depending on your impacted trips, including cases where customers were not charged for those tips. The disbursement will appear as adjustment credit, tip adjustment in the Spark Driver app. And then it states interest. Each adjustment will include interest, which is nice. I do like that they are doing that. And I do like also that they're stepping up and making sure that everybody gets their payments that they're owed, and including interest. It goes on to say, viewing your adjustments. Within 24 hours, you will see your adjustments. To see a detailed breakdown, you can go to your account through the main menu of the app. Tap Earnings Overview, then Deposit Summaries, which I was able to access. And then it goes over taxes and 1099. Adjustments will be included in your 1099 tax documents as applicable. So it sounds like we're of course going to be taxed on these earnings. No surprise there. And then it does give you some information to reach out in case you have any questions. So based on that email, it sounds like customers weren't charged for the tips, and then we didn't get the tips that were intended for us, which also kind of sounds similar to what happened on the Spark Driver app last year, which I'll be sharing that with you guys as well. But as far as my earnings, again, I was able to go into the app, see my earnings, even though I've been deactivated, but I was happy to see that I was at least able to get into my earnings. I wasn't sure if I was gonna be able to because the email didn't state my earnings in it. For my husband, it did, but not for me. But I got into the app and you'll see August 25th through August 31st, it says $125.35. So I tap on that and it opens up to Wednesday, August 27th, where these adjustments credits were credited, and you'll see $125.35. So I tap on that day to break it down some more, and you'll see adjustment credits. It says interest, $30.85, and then it says below that adjustment credits, tip adjustment. So I was owed $94.50 in tips, and it kind of goes back to, is that what a lot of drivers thought was tip baiting? These tips were actually supposed to post to our app and they didn't, and we're thinking that the customer tip baited us. I'm wondering if that's the case, because for me, I'm taking, or at least, you know, when I drove for Spark Driver app, I'm taking offers at the face value, what I see it as. I'm not taking a low paying offer hoping for a tip. I'm taking offers that are worth my time. The pay's there, the mileage, it all makes sense within my criteria. And again, I've had some instances where I thought I had been tip baited, not a whole lot, but here and there. So I'm wondering if this is what it was. The customers actually didn't tip bait. Of course, let me know your guys' thoughts on this, but at least I'm getting $125.35 back, and they're taking care of interest, which I got to give props to Walmart for taking care of the drivers, at least coming out and issuing these adjustments. Now, of course, we all wish this wouldn't have happened in the first place, that we got our earnings up front when they were supposed to be given. But I will say that I am happy that they are taking care of the drivers on what they were owed. It sounds like from a while ago, at least in my situation, in my husband's situation, and they're also paying interest. So here's what my husband received, and he did receive a similar email, but obviously it's slightly different where it's giving him his earnings, but it didn't give me my earnings in the email, which is interesting. But this is what it says for him. It says, viewing your adjustments, here is a detailed breakdown of the disbursements you are receiving. These will not be visible to you in the Spark Driver app, which is interesting to me because we've both been deactivated, but I'm able to get into my app and go into my earnings and see the breakdown. And they're telling him he can't, which is interesting. Do you guys have an idea of why this is? But it says tips, $64, and then he's being paid $19.49 in interest. And of course, it goes over that this is going to be included in a 1099. So that's what we're expected to get back. If you've gotten one of these emails, let me know. Let me know if you've driven for Spark in the past, or maybe you've been deactivated like myself, but have driven for Spark and you haven't seen one of these emails. It might be in your email file. If you have a lot of emails, you can, you know, search Spark Driver and it'll show all your emails for Spark Driver, and it should be in there, or maybe check your spam. And if you're able to get on your app and check your earnings, check around the same time frame as when I got my earnings adjustment showing in there. So I guess a lot of people are getting these earnings adjustments. Some people are getting $100, some people a few $100s. I've even heard of somebody getting over $1,000. Could you imagine all of a sudden getting a nice chunk of money that was actually owed to you before? But again, it's nice that they're throwing interest on this. But let me share that article with you that was from last year of what happened that's kind of similar to what's happening now with the earnings. So this article was from Business Insider from last year, April 10th of 2024. And it starts off by saying, some drivers for Walmart Spark delivery service are now getting hundreds of dollars in tips that they were owed after the retailer fixed a glitch. Some Spark drivers got an email informing them of the payment on Tuesday, according to email seen by Business Insider. Walmart's message referenced a system issue that led to deliveries where we may not have collected and issued tips customers meant for you. It goes on to say the message said that Spark would credit drivers' accounts with the tips they were owed through adjustment credits, which sounds like something very similar that's going on right now. The message added that customers who placed the orders wouldn't be charged for the tips. And so it sounds like Walmart is taking money out of their own pocket to take care of the drivers, which is awesome because it obviously is money that's owed to the delivery drivers. Now, here's the statement that Walmart had issued last year when this had happened. And it says, as part of our continued efforts to improve the Spark Driver platform experience, we identified an issue in the system that prevented us from collecting and issuing tips that certain customers intended to give drivers, a Walmart spokesperson said. Even though customers were never charged for the tips, we are crediting driver accounts with correct tip amounts for affected orders and have made changes within the system that caused the issue. So let me know your guys' thoughts on all of this. My thoughts are this is another glitch that happened. Unfortunately, I wish there wasn't glitches that happen like this, but it happens. And I got to give Walmart props for coming out and paying drivers back pay for what they were owed as well as interest, because what if they never said anything and we were owed this money all along? You just never know. So I'm glad that they came out and they're taking care of their drivers. But of course, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this. And if you're a current Spark driver, or maybe somebody that hasn't driven in a while, or somebody that's been deactivated like myself, and you got one of these emails and you want to share your earnings, let us know down below. But anyways, let me know your guys' thoughts. Always appreciate you guys watching. I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.